Joining me now to explain why Kamala Harris would make a terrible president and why she's not qualified to do the job, legendary actress, comedian, and the host of the Roseanne Barr podcast, Roseanne Barr. Roseanne, welcome to Newsmax. By the way, folks, Roseanne has a San Antonio comedy show you're not going to want to miss. It's August 6th, 7th, and 8th at the Laugh Out Loud Comedy Club. You're going to laugh out loud. Roseanne, thanks for coming on Newsmax tonight.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right, so a lot of breaking news tonight, Roseanne. I want to start out with MSDNC, Mika from Morning Joe, very upset with anybody who mispronounces Kamala Harris's name. Let's watch this.
And I've heard from inside Republican circles and right-wing media that the hate campaign against Kamala Harris has begun. You'll notice they purposefully pronounce her name wrong. They say Kamala. They do it all the time. It is on purpose.
All right, Roseanne, what do you say to that? If you mispronounce her name, that makes you a racist.
Well, I can see the way they think. In their way of thinking, yeah, I guess it does. The way they think.
Do you have concerns about how all of this is playing out? You know, we still haven't seen President Biden. He hasn't been seen since last Wednesday, and there's still no concrete evidence that he actually wrote that resignation letter from the campaign.
Well, several people in Congress are asking for proof of life. You knew that, right?
Yeah, what a strange place we're in, Roseanne, where we're having to ask these questions.
Really, really strange place, and we don't know how it could go, because it could go, you know, it could go one of several ways, each one crazier than the one before it. And nobody has any idea of what's going to happen, I think least of all the Democrats.
How do you think Hollywood's going to play here? Because, again, she was very unpopular in her own state, came in dead last in the Democrat primaries after she had pulled out.
Well, people are saying, too, that they're going to throw her under the bus pretty quick, and she's just a placeholder. But, you know, Obama did not, what do they call it, sanctify her, whatever the word is. So that's big news with Democrats I talk to. He didn't, what's the word where they say they, I can't remember the word.
Well, they were going to endorse or, in his case, anoint. Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't want her to run for president, and he wants to have an open primary where, you know, anyone could be nominated. So we're going to see a lot of interesting things on the Democrat side of the aisle. You know, they don't follow any of the rules. So, you know, they just make them up as they go. And, of course, they get kicked out of the Supreme Court later, but they don't care. They just do it whenever they want to do it. And then they get backed up by the entire justice system, which is totally weaponized by Biden. But it doesn't really matter who the Democrats choose, because the president is Obama, and he's in his third term now, and he'll be running for his fourth term. And I love that he, as the brains behind the Democrat Party, says that if Trump is elected, Trump will be a dictator who will refuse to relinquish power, when in fact, that's Obama's story right there. You know, they always project exactly what their own sins are onto the other. And, you know, because Obama's been, you know, like I said, this is his third term, and I hope his fans are enjoying it. And his fourth term, Roseanne, no matter who he appoints, is going to be even worse.
Well,
for the working
Roseanne,
people
and to
in this
that
country,
point,
and specifically to the black working class, because, oh, he did such a great job for him the last 3 terms.
And to that point, the talk is Vivek Ramaswamy saying it's going to be Michelle Obama. It's not going to be Kamala Harris. Michelle Obama is going to be the ultimate nominee. How do you think that's going to play?
Well, that's what I think they'll probably do with Hillary as vice in their open primary. I think it's going to be a big show that everybody needs to bring their popcorn to. It's going to be very entertaining. But, you know, there's moves and then there's counter moves, because we are in a war. We're in an information war. And so we'll see every move they make, the other side counters it. And it seems that they always lose. Whatever they come up with, they always lose. They lost the Jack Smith thing. They lost the New York thing. They lost the, when it goes to the Supreme Court, they always lose. But of course, that's why they're trying to change everything about the Supreme Court in pursuit of their hero Obama, who told them he wants to fundamentally change the United States, which means he don't much like the Constitution, and neither do any of his operatives. They don't like the Constitution, and they don't like the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America either. They like hive mind and groupthink. They like mass punishment, group punishment. They don't like to punish crime. They like to exalt it. They like destruction, and they like division and chaos.
Roseanne, real quick before we let you go, you mentioned you've been talking to some of your Democrat friends. What was their reaction? Were they surprised that Biden pulled out of the race?
I still have Democrat kids. Oh, God help me. And my mom, too, is still a Democrat.
We've got to convert them, Roseanne.
I've tried like hell. And my brother, my gay sister, they're all, I try like hell. Now they don't even talk to me. I try to text them, and they don't even take my texts. Whatever.
Roseanne, we still love you here at Newsmax. We're going to have to leave it there, but good luck in San Antonio. That's going to be a great concert.
I'm never going to stop trying to wake up the Democrats. That's what I think God's wanting me to do. And, we got to bring them over. They got to see the light somewhere. They got to retrieve their common sense, people. Please. Thank you for having me on.
All right. Roseanne Barr, everybody. She is on a crusade, a mission from God. All right. Thanks, Roseanne.